Hello everyone, good morning. We are here to present a paper on the big data ecosystem at LinkedIn. Myself, Sharon. So what this paper is talking about is LinkedIn's Hadoop-based analytics stack. And who are the targeted users for this paper are machine learning researchers and data scientists. And how it helps them? It helps them in extracting insights from the data and also to build product features. And what is the unique solution that this application is offering? Is easy ingress and egress and also to manage production workflows. So what I meant by ingress is nothing but the data coming into the system and egress is nothing but data being sent out of the system. And what is the key characteristic of this paper is all the distributed concerns are completely hidden from the user. Okay, what led to creation of such application? As we know, data is being increasing abundance and till today it is like zettabytes or petabytes of data, and also the availability and affordability of large scale systems. This has led into the conversion of machine learning and data applications into a core production process. So some of the examples are of collaborative filtering. For example, if you see in Amazon, you buy an item and you will see that some other items are being recommended for you. These are nothing but all the data mining and machine learning algorithms which are running on the background and giving you all the data. So how these applications are created? These applications are built on top of Hadoop, and some of the advantages of Hadoop are horizontal scalability, multi-tenancy, fault tolerance, and easy to program. And it also has rich and active ecosystem. So part of Hadoop framework we can consider as Pig, Hive, and Mahout. Pig is nothing but it's a high-level data flow language. Hive, it's a dialect of SQL, and Mahout is nothing but all the machine learning language primitives. Okay, so among these advantages, the one that this application is mostly concerned about is easy to program. We knew that all the machine learning researchers and data analysts might not have good software background, and also they might not have knowledge on distributed concerns. Because of this ease of programming in Pig, they can directly easily develop their applications and also write code for the prediction system that they have developed. What is the advantage of this? All the development costs will be reduced and knowledge transfer can also be minimized. So what is the issue that is faced by data scientists and machine learners? They can develop their application in Hadoop using the Pig language, but the main concern that they have is how do they deploy the data? How do they productionize the data? This is the main solution that this paper is trying to answer. And how this application is solving this issue is it creates an environment where complete, structured and documented data is available, and also the results of this algorithm can be easily obtained and published. And the key characteristics of this application is it's a large scale, multi-data center deployment is everything written in a single line. So ingress. As I said, the data comes from online systems into our production system using an application called Kafka. This is nothing but a publish and subscribe system of a LinkedIn. So how the data integrity is achieved in Kafka? There is a stringent schema validation happening and also some additional checks happens on the Kafka which ensures that data integrity has been properly happened. So workflows. Once the data enters into the system, the application creates a lot of workflows, and these workflows are being created and maintained by an application called Azkaban. Egress. So data has been entered into the system, workflows have been created, all the jobs are executed. So here comes the part of sending the data into the online systems. That is achieved through egress. And the three means of transport are key value access, stream-oriented access, multidimensional or OLAP access. So key value access, this is a primary mechanism that is being used by almost 70% of the applications. Here the algorithm delivers the results in the form of key value pairs, and all this data will be sent into database which actually performs in the key value store, and from here Voldemort, it's a part of Hadoop framework, it creates data and index files. Stream-oriented access. This is the second transport mechanism which is used by almost 20% of the applications. Here the results of the algorithms are in the form of log stream. Here the application developer will use this log stream and create the data into proper data structures that he wants. Multidimensional or OLAP access. Here the output is in the form of descriptive statistic application and the output that it feeds in the form of front-end dashboards, and all the roll-ups and drill downs can be performed on this multidimensional data. So now I'll be briefly explaining you the pipeline of the system. And before going to tell that, this application uses HDFS as a storage system. So you see two kinds of data enter into HDFS. One is from your database, example of Oracle here. The other comes from the online systems, that is called as activity data. So what is activity data? Any event, any triggering event that action or user performs is stored in the form of an activity data, and the database data is nothing but that is coming from your any database like Oracle. These activity data, which in the form of events, is stored into the form of semantic topics. These semantic topics are entered into the system using Kafka, and from Kafka this is stored into HDFS in the form of directories. So once the data enters into HDFS directories, and an ETL instance of Hadoop triggers and it creates two separate events, one for production and other for development. So that is why you see here there are two instances, one for development and other for production. Okay, data has entered into your application using Kafka. Now here comes the job of creating workflows. Workflow is nothing but it's a set of jobs that is being created by a data analyst or machine learning researcher to perform some tasks in order to convert into a derived data set. Okay, what is a job and what does Azkaban does? Azkaban is nothing but a workflow scheduler. It creates the jobs that has been specified by a data scientist, and it also manages the workflows. It also ensures the dependencies between workflows. So any job that Azkaban has been written will be of different forms, say MapReduce, Pig, Hive, and the default MapReduce jobs and the Hadoop's top type is Pig. Okay, data enter into the Azkaban. Azkaban has created multiple jobs for you. And how does a job looks? Job nothing but it's a configuration file. In the configuration file, the name of the job and also the name, all the dependencies of the jobs will be written to the particular configuration file. And from here, the data will be sent into the online systems back using the Kafka. Thank you. And from here, Harish will be explaining you the ingress.
Thank you, Sharan. So now we will be discussing about a topic called ingress. What is ingress? Something going inside is called ingress. So in this architecture in the big data ecosystem, whereas in LinkedIn, in this architecture, the data coming into the system is of two types. One is database data and one is event data. What is database data? Database data is nothing but the information of the users, company connections and other primary site data. This information about users, whenever a user creates a profile, the user's data which is stored here is known as database data. And coming to the event data is nothing but the log page views being served and search queries and clicks. The search queries are the queries which we will search on the search bar in the LinkedIn, like about the friend's profile or something else or the group, etc. So that to connect in the LinkedIn. So these all things come under event data. So the any e-commerce site or shopping site or anything, the primary and the main challenge is that the data should be available without any intervention, and there should be the processing should be very good. So the three things are: the data set is very large, so that all data should be scaled horizontally. So as you can see that the primary challenge is that to show the data without an intervention, and the processing should be very fast. So as you can see, to achieve this all difficulties, to achieve this there are several difficulties. The first thing is the data set is very large, so you have to scale it horizontally, and we have several sets of data sets, so the data set should be replicated. And the third one, this is the main problem, as the site is evolving a lot, so the schemas are also evolving a lot. So as to maintain the backward compatibility and with the new schemas, it's pretty difficult. So basically with this schema changes every time, the data is very large, So all this thing, the monitoring is the biggest difficult task to maintain in Hadoop. So for that, the LinkedIn has developed a system called Kafka. So as to maintain all this event data and the monitoring should be good, LinkedIn has developed a system called Kafka as the infrastructure for the all activity data. Activity data is nothing but event data. So coming to Kafka, what is Kafka? Before coming to Kafka, the streaming, as this is a streaming platform, all streaming platforms have several capabilities. The first thing is the publish and subscribe the records. You have to publish and subscribe all the records continuously, and you have to provide a system which is fault tolerable. And the third one is process the streams as they occur. So Kafka is run in a cluster so as to span with multiple data centers. And the second thing is it stores all the records in categories called topics. What is topic? Topic is nothing but if you are searching a query or a user profile is created, you are searching a query, that's a topic, and a user profile, that's a topic in the Kafka. And the third thing is in Kafka, every record has a value, key, and a timestamp. So as you can see, the example is collecting data about searching being performed. So Kafka topics support multiple subscribers and the activity data is very high. Its storage layer is essentially a massively scalable pub sub message queue designed as a distributed transaction log, making it highly valuable for enterprise infrastructures to process streaming data. So this is the example, people you may know. As in LinkedIn, when you search, when you search and connect to someone, the mutual friends which are between you and your friend, you will be getting the like a search result will be there, which will be given like your frequent connections are like this. The people you may know between you, they are the mutual connections. As you can see, that is the front end, and from the front end, you are getting the data to the HDFS. From the HDFS, the data address will be used, and the data will be pulled out to the UI. Okay, coming to data evaluation. The thing is, LinkedIn, as you can see, LinkedIn did not directly handle the evaluation of data schemas, which requires manual intervention to issue schema changes. So, why he is discussing this one? Because, as you know, the site, as I told, the site is evolving a lot. So, when the site is evolving, the schema is changing a lot. So, before the LinkedIn did not handle the schemas, how to handle. So, the two common solutions are simply load the data into streams as it is there, like doesn't depend upon the schema. You just load the streams or the records as it. For the example is the unstructured data. The problem of this solution is jobs that process these streams have no guarantee on what may they occur. Like when you're pushing all the data irrespective of the schema, so when the feed comes on your profile, it may vary a lot in this problem. So coming to the second solution, manually map the source of the data with a particular schema which is suitable for that data and do the transformations whatever needed. Coming to this solution, there is another problem with this solution, that is extremely difficult to manage, because you will be getting thousands of data. So managing the thousands of data, mapping it with the similar schema and doing the transformations on the thousands of data, it takes iterations a lot. Thousands of iterations will be done. So this is also not these two solutions have some problems. So as to overcome these two problems, LinkedIn has come with a good solution. That is, LinkedIn maintains schema with each topic in a single consolidated schema registry. What is schema registry? LinkedIn maintains every schema for each topic. As we discussed before, each topic means like searching the logs, or you are connecting to a friend. This is two different topics, and for these two different topics you will be having two different schemas. So when the data is published to a topic, if it is incompatible, then it is flatly rejected. And if the data which is coming and which has a backward compatibility, and it then it automatically evolves, and the schema is changed. So every schema goes through a review process to ensure consistency with the rest of the activity data model. Okay, coming to the Hadoop load. What is Hadoop load? So the load in the Hadoop, when the data is coming to the Hadoop, the load should be balanced. So as you can see, the activity data generated and stored on Kafka brokers is pulled into Hadoop using a map only that runs every 10 minutes on dedicated ETL Hadoop cluster. As you can see here, he has given, the LinkedIn has given an example of people you may know. There are two Kafka brokers where the first one is a primary cluster and the second one is a secondary Kafka broker, and the data is coming. As you can see, this ETL cluster divides and gives a fixed number of mapper tasks, distributes the partitions evenly, and after the availability of the data in the cluster, it is moved to the production or the development. So advantage of dividing this fixed number of mapper tasks is that dividing this into fixed number, we can avoid low volume topics. ETL cluster saves processing cost by performing extraction and transformation only once. Okay, coming to LinkedIn, as you can see, there are two Kafka brokers. One is primary cluster and the second one is secondary cluster. What is this primary cluster doing? It is used for production and consuming by all online resources that is coming, the data which is coming from online, that is like when the user queries or search for any friend, etc. The data which is coming, it will go to the primary clusters. The main use is it support topics with producers from Hadoop. Coming to the secondary cluster. The secondary cluster is nothing but it's a clone of the primary cluster. So it will be used as offline prototyping and data loading into Hadoop. It acts as a consumer to retrieve and store batched compressed data from primary cluster. As you can see here, the data coming from the primary cluster, it maintains in the secondary cluster. Okay. So in this Kafka, it maintains a 100 TB of compressed data. Approximately, it has 300 topics. So they handle more than 15 billion messages writes every day. As you can see, this architecture before the Sharan explained, the above one, the Kafka is the primary cluster, and the second one is the secondary cluster. As primary cluster takes the data from the UI, that is the user giving the data to the Hadoop, and the secondary cluster do the batch processing from the primary cluster and gives to the ETL. This ETL divides the mapper task into fixed numbers so that low volume topics are avoided, and after data is ready, it is moved to the either production and development. Now coming to the monitoring. So as you can see, monitoring is very important thing, because if you don't monitor the data and if you don't monitor the processing, then the user who is using the product will be not satisfied, because when the user is using a product, he will be seeing only the processing time and how the data is coming correctly or not. So as you can see, flow of data between distributed systems and the data centers for diverse set of data sets make that it creates diagnosing problems. So to achieve this, every step in this process, that is brokers, replica brokers, consumers and Hadoop cluster, publish an audit trail. What is this audit trail? So before going to the audit trail, let's discuss about this audit data. So audit data consists of topic, machine name, the logic processing tier, predetermined time window. So the every step like brokers, replica brokers, etc. takes this all audit data and gives to the audit trail. What does this audit trail do? So it aggregates all the data. After aggregating all this data, it do the system checks whether the monitoring the data is reached correctly or not. So this is done continuously, so that if the data is not reached to the consumer, then we are getting alerts, so that so that it is modified and sent to the consumer. So he has given a scenario in the LinkedIn, that is, you have a data analyst and you have a researcher called data scientist, and data scientists require the data. When the data scientist require the data and the data is not available, then he should consult a engineering team who is responsible to that feature. So he has to contact the engineering team. The engineering team has to take the steps of flows so as to get the data available to the data scientist, and as step follows, as you can see, the monitoring will be done. So the next workflows will be given by Pallavi. Thank you.
Thank you, Harish, for explaining this Hadoop data load and Ingress thing. And I'll be continuing with workflows. As he explained how this data is loaded into Hadoop, the processing of data will be done using this workflows, and I'll explain how. The data which is stored in HDFC, it will be processed as numerous number of MapReduce jobs. And this MapReduce jobs, this will form a redirected acyclic graph as I shown here. The dependencies and all will be formed like this. So to do this, to manage all these jobs, we are using three main interfaces. There are many interfaces we can use, the tools interfaces, there are many, but here in LinkedIn they are using three. They are Hive, Pig and MapReduce jobs, which they are using it. And also, since we are this Hadoop loading and all done here, we need some serialization techniques. So here in LinkedIn, they are using this Avro technique for the serialization. These workflows, the many times in these workflows, these implement a very common functionality, which are used many times. So what they can do is they'll just make it as a library and they'll keep it. So every time they need not to write the same functionality again and again. So also what they'll do, many of these workflows, they require only some subset of data. They don't require all the data. They just require the subset of data. What they'll do, when they do the Hadoop pull, they'll just partition the data and put it. So it will be used by the user later on. So I'll just show you with the example here. Whenever they do this Hadoop pull, this Kafka, it will put the data in the time partition folders. I'll take an example of employee, which we are very familiar with. And I'll show this ID. Let's just take a simple example. Let our table structure be IDs, employee name, and what is his or her department. I'll just show this example with this, and I'll show ID number 1, 2, 3, 4, and names ABC. This department 1, department 2, department 1, and department 2. Okay, this just for an instance, assume that this is the data that's been loaded to the Hadoop load. Using this, we are loading it. Like, this is not in the structure format. To be simpler, I am storing it. Whenever we are loading it using the Hive, as I said, there are three main serialization technique. Let me show example with Hive. So what we do after creation of this table, we will say alter the table. The table name, I have given it as employee. Just add partition to it. What I'll say this, okay, I'll put, what we'll query is, I'll put the year of joining here. This person joined in 2012, 2012, 2013, 2013. So what I'll do, this year, whoever has joined in 2012, I need that, and I'll put it in location here. Okay, in this location, the users who have joined in 2012 will be stored. So Hadoop, while loading the data, pulling the data is in Kafka. we are dividing this into time partitioned folders. One is 2012, one is 2013. So what we do when the user queries, what happens? User do not have to query of all this. User just needs that. User needs the count of the people who joined in 2012. So we will, when the user writes queries, what user writes? Select count of star from the table where partition is equal to this partition name. This partition name will give that. So the load time and everything will become less. So this is how the data pool and the data pool it works, and time partitioned they'll keep it, so it becomes easy for the user queries. So let me continue with it. So when we provide those time partition folders, it becomes easy for them to users to provide a wrapper around it to get input and output from it. So it's not very uncasual in LinkedIn to see hundreds or thousands of these jobs running at a time. So to do this, they have it becomes pretty much complex when they are running this jobs at a time. So they are using this Azkaban. It's a scheduler, workflow scheduler. It's an open source scheduler which is used for this managing these jobs. So what it does, as you can see, there are many jobs being run here, and it will show you the output of the job which is given to the input of the other one, and it schedules it. So the jobs of this Azkaban are, the first one, as I said, it schedules the jobs, all these jobs it maintains. And the second thing is monitoring. It will monitor which jobs are running, which jobs are failed, and as the jobs is still executing, the user can know that. And also resource locking we can do. If they don't want that some semaphore or whichever resource to be used by some jobs, they could just lock that resource so it will not be available to the jobs. And also it does the failure notification. Whenever we are running say 100 jobs and the 80th jobs fail, so the developer or whoever is doing it should get the failure notification, and Azkaban does that. And also user do not need to run again from the job 1. If we can just pause it, so it will run from the 80th job. Here showing just a simple example, like how the jobs are scheduled in the workflow. The example they are giving is people you may know. This same example will be used by this Tejasvi later, which will be explained clearly. Now I will just show that the 3 jobs they are dividing it into, and the input of that first one job, that is perform triangle closing for all members, output of that will be given to rank by discontinuing previously shown recommendation. Here it's divided into 3 jobs and it is scheduled in Azkaban. Whenever these jobs, the jobs in the Azkaban are treated like a processes, and the processes, the configuration of this process and dependencies are stored as key pair values and will be stored in a text file. And this text file will be loaded. We can just they can just load it like that. When they upload this in this Azkaban tool, it will give the jobs like that, means which jobs what it is performing using all this configuration and dependency file. It will show you the graph. It looks pretty simple now, since we need not to go through what dependency it is all having. In this execution tab, these are the jobs that are killed and these are success, and we can restart the job whichever are failed, or this developer can decide that. And who uses this Azkaban? First of all, whenever the first thing the researcher does is on the data, they'll just clean the data. These are all the first things to be done. These are the jobs that get appended first in the Azkaban. Next comes the data scientist. Data scientist will add some jobs. Analyst will add some jobs in the Azkaban later. So pretty much product manager can view which are all jobs are added and how it is working. So pretty much in the company will use this Azkaban. There will be 3 instances of Azkaban running. The first one is on ETL grid. In this ETL grid, this Azkaban matches. They'll manages the Hadoop load, the data, the load into the Hadoop. It does. Then the next one will be instance will be running in the development environment where we will test all the things and review it. And after the post review, we'll just put it in the production environment where another Azkaban instance will be running. After all this is done, this workflows and everything is done. After processing, we need to put this data out either to back to the online streaming or to some workflows to continue. So to do this, we have to append one extra job at the end of this all workflows. How it should be egressed as in to go out. The data will go out. The final job will be telling us what to do with that. There are three main mechanisms. For that. The first one is using the key value pairs. We can store it as usual, or there are streams. Then the last one is OLAP, and this OLAP 3-dimensional queues and all. And these three will be explained by Tejasvi and Neeraj next. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Pallavi. I am Sai Tejasvi. I am here to present about egress mechanism, which is, as Pallavi mentioned, there are three egress mechanisms. One is key value pairs, other is streams, and the third one is OLAP. So let me discuss about key value pairs. So what is egress key value mechanism? This is one of the most frequently used mechanism at Hadoop, at LinkedIn. So this is almost used by 80% of the people at LinkedIn. So this is all made possible by using the project Oldemart. What is Oldemart? It is a distributed storage which follows get of key and put of key value interface. So one example about this Oldemart and which follows key value mechanism is group recommendations. What does this group recommendations do? So in group recommendations, all the keys are member ID of recommendees and value is list of group IDs that are recommended. So each key is replicated into various nodes, and then every node is further split into logical partitions. Finally, after the reduce stage, we do a consistent hashing. So this Oldemart was initially built on read and write patterns. These patterns are done using MySQL and Berkeley database. So what was the initial prototype of key value pairs? One main protocol is that it uses MyISAM. So here is the initial prototype of egress key value mechanism. It uses MyISAM and then Hadoop and uses Oldemart. So as I've told, key value pairs use MyISAM from the Oldemart project. This is one of the storage engine which is used in storing key value pairs. And then from this storage engine, this also stores the MapReduce jobs of the key value mechanism. So this HDFS will generally copy the last MapReduce job into the Hadoop folder, and then this data is pulled from the Oldemart. So this Oldemart generally stores the data in a particular directory, and then it will convert it into a table format. So this is all about the key value pairs. So as I have told, it uses MyISAM, which is a storage engine, and then last MapReduce is pulled to HDFS, and then it uses Oldemart. So now all this is done using a single pick command, which is shown as. So the pick command is as follows. We'll take a recommendations variable, we'll load this recommendations which is present in a data folder using an Avro storage store this recommendations into some Voldemort URL using key value mechanism. Some key comma value. So this is the pick command used for key value mechanism for storing the recommendations into Voldemort. So later many changes have been made to this initial prototype. What are the changes made? The first change made is a custom engine. So why is this made? This is made to solve the copy problem from MyISAM to HDFS. So this custom engine is tailored to HDFS, introduced to solve the copy problem. So what does the storage engine is made up of? The storage engine is made up of multiple chunk sets which contains multiple pairs of index and data files. So what does this data file contain? Data file contains the data which is to be present, and the index file it follows a compact structure containing the hash of the key and value pairs. So this key lookup is achieved as it is sorted. This key lookup is fetched using a binary search operation. So then, how does map reduce mechanism work in the egress key value mechanism? So first, initially, the input data set is taken and then given it that is given to the map reduce mechanism. Which gives the key value pairs and then is given to the Voldemort. So what does this do? This map reduce mechanism, identity mappers in this map reduce mechanism emit the hash key of replication factor followed by a custom partitioner that routes the key to appropriate reducer responsible for the chunk set. So what are the applications that the egress key value mechanism use? First application that this mechanism uses is people you may know service in the LinkedIn. So as all of us know, LinkedIn provides us a people you may know service, which is done based on number of common connections, company and school overlap, geographical distance, etc. By using all these factors, we know that the people you may know service works. So now, how does all this workflow manages? It follows Azkaban. So this is the prototype how this people you may know service works. First, initially using a batch load, Hadoop fetches it using the initial prototype concept. Using a batch load, this Hadoop last map reduce of the MyISAM is stored into Hadoop, which is fetched by Voldemort. When a user uses the get recommendations function, from the data is retrieved from the Voldemort. So as Pallavi has told about Azkaban, this uses the Azkaban to manage the workflow. So the other application what this key value mechanism uses is collaborative filtering. So what does this which application exactly which service does exactly uses collaborative filtering? Viewers of this profile also viewed. So as LinkedIn provides is a certain service called when you visit a page, then it gives us a recommendation to the user that people who watch this page also used some other pages. That kind of mechanism is done using collaborative filtering. So this is a pipeline. This is initially computed using member to member, and then now certain changes has been made to this mechanism. So LinkedIn's front-end framework emits activity events on every page, and then visit as a part of LinkedIn's base member activity tracking. Now, the next concept of the egress mechanism is streams. What is streams? So as key value mechanism is used by 40% of the users, the streams is almost the second derived data of the Hadoop. This is almost used by 10 to 12% of the people. So this is used in applications that need a change log of the underlying data. So the ability to push data into Kafka is implemented as a Hadoop output format. So next, each MapReduce slot acts as a Kafka producer that emits the messages. So this is also done using a simple pick command. So for what does the streams do is it will create a session and then it will send it to the Kafka. So how does this do? Similar to pick storage, as mentioned, this is for every page view. For each page view, it will generate a session size. So that is for the session size is stored into the sessions, and these sessions are stored into Kafka URL using streams. This is the parameter that is passed into the streams, in which topic that is. And then what are the applications that streams use? So the streams uses newsfeed updates. So as I have told in the key value mechanism, Hadoop, this is the map phase and this is the reduce phase. Hadoop will send to the Kafka brokers, and in the reduce phase, Kafka brokers will send to the email service. And this flow can be vice versa also. So this is generated as per member basis on interactions with other components in the ecosystem. To show deeper analytical updates requires joining data across multiple sources, which can be time consuming in a service oriented manner. So further will be continued by Neeraj. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Neeraj. As I has discussed first two parts of Egress, I will be discussing the third part, the last part, which is OLAP. So let's see what is an OLAP. OLAP stands for Online Analytical Processing System. So let's see how OLAP has evolved. Let's take a scenario when we need to calculate the total sales for a month of an organization. What we need to do is the traditional DB would be calculating all the rows and would be computing it. It's a very cost-based query. It takes time, and moreover it buttons the system, it slows down the system. So the scientists had come up with a new system called OLAP. So in this system, it pre-computes the totals for the sales during the nights or at the weekend, basically when the DB is idle. By doing this, we are not buttering the system, we are not putting lots of pressure on it, and the performance is also improved by this. In the same hand, we would be having delay in the data. We won't get the freshness of the data. And the data over here is stored in the cube format. Let's see the example in OLAP. If we have only 2 dimensions, it could be easily visualized in this table format. The dimensions over here are the member and industry. Whereas if we have one more dimension, we can visualize it. We can visualize this in the cube format. So this is how it is. So there are 3 dimensions: member, industry, and country. Now let's put in some numbers in this cube and let's see with an example. Yes, this is the example. So what we have over here is, this is the category and the time are the dimensions, and the down part is the measure, and the number it represents is the total number of sales for the category confections under the month of January. So this cuboid is the answer for the multiple queries. So each cube, each cell in the cube represents some result of an query. So multiple queries, it shows the result for multiple queries at a time. Now let's see how LinkedIn has utilized this OLAP concept in their system. As we know that LinkedIn has millions of users with n number of data, so they had a chance to go with a distributed OLAP. But they observed that with the distributed OLAP, availability, latency, and cost was the main problems. So moreover, the use case where the LinkedIn has to utilize OLAP concept is these 2 screenshots. So the first one is who viewed my profile, and the next one is who viewed this job. If we see these pictures carefully, the data is sharded or partitioned by the key. Like for example, if I log in into the system, my ID will be a member ID, and the persons who visit my profile will be displayed in the graphical way. So that is who viewed my profile. Even with the same thing with the who viewed this job. So over there, the job is the ID which is partitioned by that ID. So with their use case and with the challenges with the distributed OLAP, they came up with a new system called Avtara. So this is how the rise of an Avtara has come. So with their challenges with the distributed OLAP and with their use cases. So let's see the features of Avtara. So as it utilizes the distributed OLAP concept, it provides fast scalable OLAP system, and the low latency also they achieved it by holding the key value parallelism, which is the Voldemort in this case, and also the sharding of cube dimensions is done, which is the main motto for this OLAP in LinkedIn. So if we see this in Avtara, there are two main engines. The first engine is offline batch engine and the online query engine. The main motto of this offline batch engine is high throughput. So this is where the most of the batch processing Hadoop jobs are runs. And the next part is online query engine. It provides the high availability and low latency. And the data for this online engine is retrieved from the Voldemort. The flow is like the high throughput offline batch engine puts the data into the Voldemort, and the low latency high available online query engine takes from the Voldemort. Let's see the architecture part of it. So this is the architecture. As I said, right, there are two main engines. This is offline batch engine, that is the online query engine. So offline batch engine puts the data from the into the key value storage. This is the Voldemort, and the online query engine gets the data from the key value storage. So if we see in detail, the offline batch engine are subdivided into three sections. One is pre-processing, and next is projections and joins and cubification. Now let's see with an example for each section of it. Most of it, the offline batch engine is shared with an configuration file. So everything in this offline batch engine is driven by a configuration file. Let's see each section part of it. So we are seeing here with an example which is who viewed my profile, and the first part is pre-processing. So pre-processing is a stage where the data is driven. So it uses the built-in functions, and from here the data is generated and passed it over to the next sections. If you see the built-in functions over here are input profile views. They are using the built-in function called profile views and member info. They are inputting those two variables, and also the aggregation is done at the week level, and the data is now passed to the projection and joins. So if you see this projection and join section, this is the main section where the dimensions and facts and measures are created. So if you see that there are two tables basically, dimensions and facts, and in this method they are joined together. So if we see in the code, dimensions as the member ID. So the viewer is industry and the country, from where is it. So facts are the person who is being viewed. So it consists of profile views, view ID, viewer ID, and the time. At what time the view has happened. So what we are measuring over here is the view visits. This is the view visits, and the join is done by the profile view, viewer ID, and the member info member ID. So viewer ID and the member ID, through that it has joined. So let's see the last part of this offline batch engine, that is cubification. This is the phase where the cubes are generated, and moreover it is shared with the ID over here. So ID which is over here is the member ID, and then this cubification puts this data into the Voldemort. If you see the code, it consists of cube name and shard key. The shard key is over here as the view ID, and they have given a name for a cube name. Now let's see how the data is represented in this Voldemort. Let us consider this. So as an ID has some name and data, we'll put it at data over here. So let's take ID as A, and its data would be represented in this cube format. So this is how the A's data will be there, and all the data would be represented in this cube format, and it's like even for the number of rows, we could easily represent a number of rows in this format. So by this style, everything data can be retrieved in a single disk fetch. Let's see the cube structure, how it is represented. So as I tried dimensions and measure. So the dimensions over here is the view ID, your industry and country and the time. And the measure, what it calculated over here is bi-weekly, it is 3 visits. This is the offline batch engine and the Voldemort part. Now let's see the online query engine. So online query engine is similar like the SQL-like interface for the clients. So the data is retrieved, as said, right? Data is retrieved in single disk fetch because of the cube concept utilized here, and also it serves real-time queries. So the next part over here, it also supports select from where group by having limit, and also all the aggregation functions which are over here is the count, average, sum, and percentage as well. So this is how it will be represented in the backend. So what they did was they used the builder pattern over here. They created an object and they set all the values in this builder pattern, and once they set it, they are calling with a new object called result. This object executes the query, and the data would be represented in this fashion, and this is used by ID, used by industry, and this is person who viewed my profile. And the last part is who viewed this job. This is how the LinkedIn has utilized OLAP in their functionality, and that's all. Thank you.